So, a lot of news this evening and news this week to discuss. So, first of all, going to America, we see situations where a Texas court has allowed employers to refuse to give aid medication in health packages because it would encourage homosexual intercourse, and that would be against the employer's religious beliefs of being a bigot. Yeah. It's a very weird argument, and this is the argument you see all the time where you've got an argument of religious beliefs. Like, there was an argument before where I believe it was my country where the there was a ceremonial sword, knife, to be carried about by a certain religion, and unfortunately, in my country, you're not allowed to carry a knife. Uh, yeah, you're just not allowed to have a knife in the public. So it means that, this would be breaking the law. And let's just say, no, they didn't let them, because most people can kind of admit when your religious freedoms encroach on the safety of other people, it's kind of up to have that attitude to be like, yeah, you should be allowed to have your religious freedoms so someone else can possibly die. I mean, like, sure, religion. Harm. I don't want to harm anyone's religion, but like, sometimes in these cases, you just feel a bit concerned about it. You also the appointment of a special master for the Donald Trump case, in which he stole a bunch of documents from the government. All sorts of things there. So that's to oversee that. So, you know, yeah, there's definitely no corruption there. And yeah, so also things going on there. And I think this is oftentimes a thing you see here. Now, there's also a situation in which the Italians have a problem. An Italian politician has demanded a ban on a Peppa Pig episode showing a lesbian couple. So yeah, more lesphobic attitudes there. What can you expect from politicians? So yeah, all sorts of things going on there, and all sorts of problems going on in the world. So yes, one of those things is the new head of government in England. So Boris Johnson has been removed as head of government after the Conservative Party realised maybe, having someone who is basically just a PR disaster, everyone wants him out, maybe having that person leading the party wouldn't be a great thing to do leading into the election in around 2 years' time. That wouldn't be a great face for your party. And when someone keeps having more and more scandals, it's just like maybe they're just gonna have another one. Like it's gonna come out that they murdered someone or something, and then like, there's gonna be a problem there. It's gonna expand. It's just there's just constantly more problems coming along. And I'm not saying Boris Johnson murdered anyone. I'm just saying that will be the kind of thing that you'd be thinking about, when scandals keep getting worse and worse and worse. Point I'm making is that there is a new head of government, and basically, the prime minister, not elected by the people. However, it wasn't a democracy. It was a I guess you call it like an oligarchy, because a group of people within the people voted for the next prime minister, and they voted for Liz Truss, which is not a great person to vote for. I mean, Rishi Sunak wasn't a great fella, but like, you know, actually, not neither of them were really good politicians. Like both of them were like, oh, moving more right wing in order to like. It was like a little game they were playing. Like, I can be even more right wing, and you can be. Well, I can be more. Keep moving further and further right wing. And like, she's now anti-solar. She doesn't want like solar panels because she thinks that there should be animals in the fields solar panels are in. I don't think she realizes that you can actually put animals in fields, and she doesn't like the look of them, which is kind of weird because solar panels look kind of cool, you know? Like they look interesting. I look at solar panels like, and I think that's cool. I don't think, look at the ugliness of the things that provide electricity in a green fashion. And her idea for replacing solar panels is fracking, which is incredibly environmentally damaging. She also wants to strike away green levies. So yeah, I don't know what the Conservatives are doing here. This isn't really like conservative policy. This is just stupid policy. Like, yeah, the climate is in danger. Fuck the climate. Let's all die of painful increasing global temperatures and increasing size of deserts and dropping temperatures as well. That will cause hypothermia. Yeah, and then we'll also force the energy prices up at the same time, so that even if you could heat your home, you can't. So as the world gets colder in the winter, well, anyway, basically, all a bit of a shambles there. She also changed from being an abolitionist. Well, that's what she said anyway. She wanted to abolish the monarchy. She said in speeches before, oh, we shouldn't have a family that are basically able to just have control. And I would agree with that statement. I don't like monarchies. And well, the thing is that when she took power recently, it was just a few days later that the Queen, unfortunately, the Queen of England, died. And this is the main discussion for this broadcast, because this is a very interesting situation. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying, obviously, I feel compassion for her family. I'm not saying that, nobody should be sad. Obviously, if you've got a personal connection to the Queen, it doesn't matter how evil someone is. If you've got a personal connection with them, obviously, you might be saddened by that. But yeah. But anyway, get me on that. It's people who don't have that personal connection, people who actually don't know her, that are really weird, especially the Americans. But we'll get to that. So, in a lot of countries, especially in the Commonwealth, there have been a lot of countries that have, said, oh, it's a great grief and all these sort of things. Jamaica, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, all these countries, some of them have declared that they'll have a day off, bank holiday, to commemorate her. I don't know why. She was an unelected anti-democracy head of state. I don't think you'd want that, to be honest. But whatever the case may be. And the leader of Ireland has hailed the Queen's contribution to peace, which is kind of BS because the Queen is representative of the British government. She's literally the head of state. And let's just say they haven't really been the main focusers on peace, have they? A bit like America, they all get like shocked when someone has a terrorist attack on them. You're like, don't attack other countries and you probably won't be attacked yourself. It's kind of obvious. But anyway, that sort of thing there. There's a lot of people who do that. And sometimes, if you want England to be nice to you, sometimes you need to say all the BS, about being promoted to like an anti-democratic head of state who got power because their father died, and they got power because their brother abdicated, and they, like, well, what's that about? But yeah, but one of the weirdest things is the policy of Americans, like. The Apple site, like Apple.com, the tech company. Yeah, they had an event on the 7th, and then a day later, they put up a full page, their full homepage. Sorry, to commemorate Queen Elizabeth II. Like, what was that about? What's that about? Like, you're an American, and it's very weird to see Americans, especially Americans who are like very like, they love the Constitution and all this, and they're constantly claiming, no, they have a right to guns and they've got a right to free speech and all this. You're like, the Queen is a representative of something like the founding fathers, who are, if you ignore the racism, the sexism, and the just horribleness of them, did push off the British, They did push off the royal family as their head of state. Canadians haven't got that far, but um, the kind of thing you have here where it's like, how brain dead can you be to be like, do you know if the England still owned America, Americans would not be allowed to have guns. They wouldn't have a right to free speech. Okay, none of these things that all these super right wing people like would be in existence. I heard a fella last night talking about the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta was forced on the English monarchy because the people were like, people who were very, very rich, and were like, we would like to possibly share some of this power. Possibly, could you, royal family, could you do that? That's what the Magna Carta was. They didn't willingly sign it. They forced them to sign it, and then when they got them to sign it, then they that's how it kind of became a constitutional monarchy. That's how they took away the absolute monarchy. So maybe don't quote Magna Carta when you're talking about the Queen and how actually she's really good. Actually, like no, no. Obviously the Queen has overseen the death of over 1 million Kenyans, for example, the deaths of multiple people in multiple areas. And obviously, you might argue, sure, maybe, yeah, sure, she was head of state then, and she was being informed of all this stuff, but she wasn't the one who ordered it. But I would argue that's not really an argument. Like, obviously, if your country orders something and you're not like the head of state, that's not, you don't really have any power to stop that. But if you're, imagine you're a head of state. Imagine the head of state came out and said, no, this is not okay. Do you think the government would ignore them or follow them? Because it wouldn't look too great if the Queen was like, no, this is a bad thing too. We will be stopping this. And the government was like, no, we're not, because we have the power and you don't. Because, actually, maybe we're going to lose the next election now because we ignored the head of state who refused to write off this bill. Like, the whole point of having a head of state is to balance out the issue of people seizing power, so that it has to pass by the people. Just like, come on, this is just basic stuff. Anyway, I just think you shouldn't have someone who is unelected in that power, and especially someone who gets the job because their family have all this. Like the Queen, the royal family have over 300 billion. It's just insane to see the level of wealth that they have, and people are having the argument of, oh yeah, hearts and prayers. People, being very sad about it. Like, come on now, this is just a bit. This is a bit much. This is a bit much. So yeah, I would be firmly against people being like this. And she wasn't a great person, fairly evil person. But that's really it there. So yeah, an Italian politician has demanded a ban on a Peppa Pig episode that was showing a lesbian couple. So yeah, what can you expect there? And all sorts of things there. And yeah, it doesn't look too good, to be honest. When you look at all this, you think, I really, I really just feel very concerned about the world, the way it is now, the way you have people, joining in the prayers for an unelected person. It seems very concerning to me that someone who was not given the position of power by the people is being given commemoration by everyone. It seems to be a road people are going down in which they just don't really want to have a democracy, because that's the way it looks. And that's a concerning sign. It's a very concerning sign to see. So ultimately, I'd say, you know, that was the news, and I'll be back next week for another look at the news. Very weird. Just very, very weird.